Okay, listen. What the is going on with so many people right now driving around in cars with negative equity? According to the Edmunds survey, the share of Americans who are upside down on their auto loans is 25%. The average amount owed on upside down loans climbed to an all-time high, $6,458. More than 1 in 5 consumers with negative equity owe more than $10,000 on their auto loans. Okay, this really needs to change. Time and time again, we're having this conversation about how to get a car responsibly, and so many people continually refuse. Why? They want to have a nice car, a newer car, or they say things like, I want to feel safe. What the hell are you talking about? It's getting to a point, guys, where it's getting extremely toxic, where people are just refusing to understand that having negative equity on the car is the worst thing to do. That can lead you to a cycle to continually add on negative equity, owning depreciating asset, and then you will go nowhere in life, which is kind of ironic because you own a car, so technically you are going somewhere, but you're not going towards a path of building wealth. So in this video, I want to give you some basic tips, guys, that you certainly need to follow to get yourself out of that negative equity cycle and get yourself into a car that's reasonable. And at the same time, you can save and invest. Now, the first tip I want to give you guys, and this is by far the most simplest one, but people just refuse to do this, is to put a down payment down. Try to put 20% down. Trust me, if you cannot put 20% down on the car, there's a good possibility you cannot have the car you're about to buy. You just cannot. You see, when you put 20% down, this is the good thing about it. First of all, the depreciating asset is going to slow down. Okay, the depreciation on your vehicle will slow down if you put 20% down. And also your payments will be a whole lot more manageable. Now, this is the key here, okay? Do not calculate how much you're gonna pay on your auto loan after you put 20% down. Don't do that. Just say, what are you comfortable with? Whatever amount that is, keep it that way. Put 20% down. That way, the amount of money you're gonna be paying is gonna be less than your budgeted amount. That's the key here. You do not want your car to ruin your life. You want your car to be a small, minor expense within your budget. The next thing you want to do is this. Please pick a short-term loan. It's getting extremely ridiculous. Right now, they have an 84-month term loan. 7 years with the car is right then and there. If you take 7 years to pay off your car, is gonna be in negative equity. You pretty much guaranteed it's gonna be in negative equity because cars lose their value so much, so quickly, and your car will be outdated. Now, I know you're gonna see the monthly payment, then you're gonna love that monthly payment, and you're gonna say, you know what, if I can extend it even further than 7 years, I would. Do not do that. Please do not do that. Try as much as possible to keep your terms short, very, very short. Try to do at least 3 years. Okay, 3 years, make it as short as 3 years. That way you can pay it off and your car, guess what, is yours. You take care of it, you just do all the maintenance and it's yours. That right there is the ultimate goal. That's truthfully the first way to get out of that whole trap is to at least own your first vehicle. Once you own your first vehicle and you can hold on to it as long as you can, and you can start saving up to buy for a new car, you will not fall in the trap that so many Americans are falling into. The next tip is this: avoid, by all means possible, rolling over debt to another vehicle. You're making the situation worse. If you're already in negative equity in a car, rolling it over to a new one is not gonna be any better. It's gonna make your situation a whole lot worse because now you just already adding negative equity on top of a car that most likely would get you even more of a negative equity because your payments are gonna be extremely high. Don't do that. Just please do not do that. Try as hard as possible to hold your car as long as you can. Okay, there is no reason why you cannot pay for your first car fully. Done. Most people just try to trade in because they're saying it's a piece of junk, it's giving me issues. Well, guess what? You're not going to get top dollar for that car. So regardless, you're thinking you're forfeiting this negative equity, that you're just getting rid of the car, but you're not. The next thing is this: buy a car that you know depreciates slowly. We all know, because we all see it still in this road, even 15, 20 years old, is Nissans, Toyotas, and Hondas. They last a very, very, very long time. You want to make sure your car is a vehicle that's going to hold its value. If you're going to get a vehicle, you might as well get a car that has a slow depreciation, because if you do decide to trade it in, at least you know you will not be losing so much money once you trade it in. At some cases, in some instances, you would actually gain money on that, which is obviously one of the best things that you want to do. So use Kelly Blue Book and just make sure the car that you buy is slowly depreciating. Like, for example, you do not want to get those Cybertrucks. I mean, I didn't even want to see the resale value on those trucks. And the next tip, and it's the most obvious, is buy a car you could afford. Do not get yourself into a car you can't afford. A lot of people like to say, well, right now I'm getting paid this, and a few years from now I'll be getting paid that. So yes, I could afford this because my future self will be able to pay for this. Don't do that. It's just a car, guys. It's getting you from point A to point B. Try to keep the prices as minimum as possible. Cars are a headache. You gotta deal with maintenance. You gotta deal with all these emergencies that happen. It's a headache. And if you're putting yourself so close within your budget with your car, it's gonna make matters even worse. So try as much as possible to just get a car you could afford. Dealerships, they're great at trying to get you into the most expensive car. Why? Because they make more in commission. And they will tell you all the things that you want to hear, like safe and comfortable and all this nonsense. No, don't do that. Know your budget before you go into a dealership. Don't let them determine what your budget should be. And the next thing is this: take care of your vehicle. I know it's a pain in the ass to get an oil change. Some places do it within like 15 to 30 minutes, so that's awesome to do. But you really need to stay on top of your vehicle to make sure all the maintenance is being done on your car. This is something, guys, that you want to do because unfortunately it's a depreciating asset, but you want to at least hold on to it as long as you can. That way you can get your next vehicle with cash. You do not want to have all these problems with your vehicle and you're saying to yourself, I want to get rid of it because it's a piece of junk, but you never did maintenance on it, right? You cannot expect a car to run at its top peak performance if you're not doing the standard maintenance on it, the tune-ups, the oil changes, the tire rotations. All these things, guys, come with a cost. And if you're doing all these tire rotations, actually some places they do the oil change and the tire rotation is free, which will make your tires last even longer, which means you don't have to keep on buying new pairs of tires. Well, anyway, if you do all of these things, guys, your vehicle will be running for even longer. Back in the days when cars hit 100,000 miles, people were like, that's it, time to get a new car. Not anymore. Nowadays, these cars can run extremely longer than 100,000 miles, especially if you take care of it. So there you have it, guys. In order for you to get the hell out of negative equity, you gotta follow these tips, because if you don't and you continually rolling negative equity to a new car, you're gonna end up in a cycle where so many people are ending up with. And worst case scenario, you get a repo, stays in your record, ruins your credit. You just don't want to do that. It's just a car. Just try to keep the expenses of your car really, really low, your payments really, really low, and you will not be one of the 5 Americans that's falling into right now the negative equity trap of a vehicle.